Hi everybody, welcome back to Lori's Boston Found, where thrifted is the new black. My name is Lori. I am a reseller on Poshmark and on eBay. Today I am introducing a new style video that I am really excited to share with you. January marked 4 years for me on YouTube, and typically I do some sort of a reflection or I think about what I want for my channel for the future. Life has been a little upside down lately, and one of the things that I've been doing that has really just relaxed me a lot has been writing. And there are two creators in particular whose channels I've been really honing in on. The two channels are Yoseka Stationery, which is a store that I visited in Brooklyn, New York. I featured them on this channel back in December when I went to visit my son Anthony in New York. And the other channel that is heavily inspiring this new style video for me is Goulet Pens. Brian Goulet is the owner of Goulet Pens, and I've been watching their Pencast, which is a weekly show he does with one of his co-workers, Drew Brown. And I love the format of these videos, and they're basically like a weekly check-in, and they cover a lot of bases. I have done a lot of what sold videos. I used to do them once a month. I dabbled with doing them weekly for a short time on my channel. Most recently I've been doing my ship and shop videos, which I really enjoy, which aren't going anywhere, where I pull recent sales with you and then we go thrifting, a little bit of shipping, a little bit of shopping. It kind of gives you a big picture. I've also shared many Q&As on this channel. I share with you hauls. This video concept that I am taking directly from these wonderful creators who've been really a comfort to me in this past month is a little bit of everything. What I'll do right now is I'll break down the format of what this style video is going to look like, and I'm committing right now to doing it every other week. If I get into a groove and if my feedback is good from you, I would love to do it every week. And just maybe, and this is a huge maybe, if things go well, I will convert these videos in particular to a podcast. It will be like one podcast weekly or bi-weekly that will just be taking the audio from these videos. I'm not doing that yet, but I know that on the Pencast video that Goulet Pens does, that is what they do. And the Yoseka video specifically that I'm talking about, they call it Catching Up with Yoseka. They go over new inventory, they kind of do a check-in, and again, the owner does it with one of her workers. So I would love to have co-host on this particular style video. I would love to have Tina, my employee, check in and maybe give you like some behind the scenes. I would love to Zoom chat with other resellers. I would love to have people like my husband on to maybe give us some accounting tips, which he is very reluctant in front of the camera. I also have a couple friends here in my hometown who have recently started Poshmark, and they've been messaging me with a lot of questions, and I thought it'd be really fun to have somebody new to reselling just on my show or on this series, whatever we're calling it, and we can have a little conversation. That is down the road. The first few videos I'm going to do on my own until I find my rhythm. I don't really have a name for this. Today's title was just called A New Chapter. That's not going to be the name of this. It might be just weekly check-in. If you have any fun, interesting names, let me know. I suspect that these will be longer videos. Some of the Goulet Pencasts are 2 hours long, but the way that they format it, I love it because they deal with all like the nuts and bolts and the relevant content in the beginning of their video, and then they kind of trail off at the end, and there's like a lot of banter and life updates and things like that, and I truly love that. So people who come to watch, they know they're going to get a certain format, it's going to be predictable, and then I'll save like all the chatter and life updates for the end of the video. I love that format. So here's my outline for right now. So the first section, and I'm taking this right from Goulet Pens, they do a section called feedback. So the feedback section is going to be where I share some comments from people either on my Instagram. If you're not following me over on Instagram, it's the same name, Lori's Boston Found. Some will be comments that people leave on my YouTube videos, just feedback from my audience, certain comments that I would like to share with you. The next segment of this video style is going to be called Flip of the Week and Flop of the Week. So the Flip of the Week is going to be the item that excited me the most, the sale that sold really fast, or maybe it sold for a huge profit, something special or unique about a flip that I want to share with you. So that's going to be a little bit of what sold, like a taste of what sold. My flop of the week is going to be a mistake I made or something I missed, real life stuff sharing with you, because I think that is just as important as sharing the successes. Then I'm going to have a Q&A segment. So you're welcome to leave comments and questions in the comment section of this video. I may choose comments that are specific to a topic that I'd like to cover. I've done Q&A videos, but I love that it can be a segment of these weekly videos. We'll have the intro, feedback, flip of the week, flop of the week, Q&A, and then we're going to have a section just called What's New. So the What's New section is going to be in my professional world. In this particular month, I might talk about Thriftless February and What's New, or maybe I have a listing challenge that I'm doing. Maybe I have a big thrift trip that I'm doing. What's New is going to be in my professional world. It will be like a little conversation with you about things that are new that I'm trying for my business. So one of the segments that I really want to do is called Designer Deep Dive, where I take a particular designer and just give you the history of it. We talk a lot about different brands in the reselling community, and I just think it would be really fun to deep dive on different designers or brands and talk about when the company was founded, if they've ever changed hands, if they have a diffusion line, how items from that particular designer or brand sell for me, trends from that designer. I think it'd be really fun to do a deep dive. This is definitely a work in progress. We'll see how it goes. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I have a second channel and it's called Time with Tata. My last name is Tata. It's spelled T-A-T-A, yes, like Tata. It is Italian, and if you are pronouncing it correctly, it is Tata, but we have Americanized it. I've only known it to be Tata since I met my husband when I was 14 years old. Lots of fun with my last name. I've heard all the jokes and they're fun. I started as like a vlog style, but it's really turned into recently like a planning, handbag, and fountain pen channel, and it's been fun. For the purposes of this segment, Time with Tata is going to be where I catch up with you on my life and maybe share with you a little bit from my second channel, maybe share with you a new pen that I bought, or talk to you about a new video that I put out recently on my second channel. But this is going to be the last part of these weekly videos, so that if you're not interested in my life, you can just click off at that point and you get all the nuts and bolts in the beginning. And I really appreciate that with the Goulet Pencast. I really like that format. So that is my new style video. I'm going to go through a couple things and talk to you and touch on some of these segments. So I'm sorry I'm like jumping all around in this first video, but I wanted to give you the format first. We will now like jump into the part of the video where I'm actually going over some stuff. So just to recap, we're going to have an intro, a little bit of feedback, a flip and a flop of the week, Q&A, what's new, designer deep dive, and then Time with Tata. I'm not doing a designer deep dive today. I'm just going to do one from each section just to give you a little taste. As far as feedback goes, I recently put out a video called Top 5 Styles or Categories That I'm Leaving Behind in 2023. I have introduced a top 5 series. They're just quicker videos that I plan to do, especially in the month of February where I'm not sourcing. I got a lot of comments on that, so I'm just gonna take this comment from Linda, who is a regular viewer. Hi, Linda. She says, January was my best month ever, selling since August of 2020. That's huge. But I've decided to exit entire categories that don't sell for me. No more menswear or children's. I just don't know enough about the brands and I can't get excited about them. I've also cut out any large or heavy hard goods because shipping is a pain. Last but not least, no more coats. They take up too much space. Thank you, Linda, for your comment and your feedback. I loved this comment because Linda touched on a lot of things, and I'm just wondering how you all can relate to her comment. Have you ever thought about exiting an entire category? You guys all know that I live in the gray zone, so I have a really hard time saying any definitive no more. And so it's really tough, even to make that video where I said things that I'm leaving behind, because I always feel like the second I say it, I'm gonna do it. So I admire people who can actually stick to their guns and hone in and niche down within reselling. People who kind of know their niche really well, they do really well. And I also think they end up picking up a lot less because they have a hard no to certain things. And I really struggle with that. It's something that I would love to get to in my business. I'm not really good at structure, so I really appreciate that Linda is making this attempt. Also, she made the comment about cutting out any large or heavy hard goods and coats. because shipping is a pain and they take up too much space. I think this is a really good thing to consider when you're wondering how you want to build your business. I actually have a lot of space in my house, but I think it's a blessing and a curse. I always say if I had less space, I would be a much better shopper. I would have to make some decisions. Do I want to take this into my home? Am I willing to store this if it's going to be a long tail sell item? And I think if you have less space or you're just more disciplined with your space, it makes those decisions easier. I have a really hard time not picking up coats because I live in the Northeast. There are a ton of coats around here and I can find some really great brands for really great prices. So it's hard for me to leave coats behind. I filled up an entire rolling rack with coats. I have bins with like certain blazers and lightweight coats that are full. And now I have the closet outside of my bathroom on the other side of the store, which essentially was for my family, but now it is filled with inventory coats. And it's like, where do I draw the line? And my flop this week has to do a little bit with that closet. So that is something that I am definitely considering whether or not I want to, continue in certain categories. The watered down version that I've kind of come up with is to just stop purchasing things until items sell. And I talked a lot about that in my top 5 video. Things like skirts. That was the only category that I said I'm really not picking up. My generous neighbor just gave me 8 bags of clothes and she gave me a ton of skirts and dresses. And skirts were really slow movers. And I discovered in that video that I had 51 skirts that were listed and unsold. So it's not that I'm never picking skirts up again, but I'm not picking up skirts unless it is an amazing home run of a pickup until I sell through some of my skirts. And as far as shipping goes, I'm with you, Linda. I am not a big fan of big, heavy things. And I have sold a couple objects that I'm like, why did I do that? One of the reasons I don't sell more of my American Girl doll collection, I used to work at American Girl. I have thousands and thousands of dollars worth of American Girl stuff, but a lot of it is tough to ship. I would sell it today if I could, but I'm lazy when it comes to the shipping and things like that. I feel you on that. So thank you so much for your comment, Linda. So let's shift gears and we'll go now into flip of the week and flop of the week. So my flip of the week was a gorgeous Bowden wrap that I picked up at the Goodwill in Boston. I knew the second that I saw this wrap that it was something special, but it wasn't until I got home and looked at comps and what was available until I realized that it was even more special than I thought. I think when I picked it up, I thought maybe $40 or $50. And then when I got home, there were very few that were listed and the comps on the ones that had sold were really promising. And I actually priced mine a little lower than I think I could have, but because I priced it right and it was this highly sought after item, I paid about $6 for it and it sold in a day or two for $89. It was the Bowden British Tweed by Moon wrap. The colors in this were absolutely stunning. It was in beautiful condition. It was a label from Bowden that I had never seen before, as well as a style I had never seen before. It was in excellent pre-owned condition, 100% lamb's wool. It was just gorgeous. It sold for $89 and that was my asking price. I received, I think, 2 offers, one on eBay and one on Poshmark before somebody bought it outright. Less my Poshmark fees for $17.80, which meant my net earnings were $71.20. I paid $6 or $6.50. My profit on this was $65. My buyer left a beautiful comment. She gave me 5 stars. Thank you so much. And she said, "Thank you, Lori. The wrap is just gorgeous. I couldn't wait to wrap myself up in it. It's a joy to watch your channel. I've learned so much from you. Prayers for you and your family, especially your dad. God bless." Oh my gosh. So thank you, Cindy. Thank you for supporting my channel. My flop of the week was nothing major. Some weeks I have major flops and other weeks they're just like little blips. I don't know if you remember when I think I had like $800 in sales. It was the last like what sold video that I did. It was called Ship With Me and my sales were pretty decent and I sold some high ticket items. But as I was pulling everything, there was an Abercrombie & Fitch coat that I, for the life of me, could not find. And it was also a coat that looked kind of familiar. It was like a utility coat in navy blue from Abercrombie, lined with the fur and the big faux fur collar. Those do pretty well for me. I'm pretty certain I've sold an olive green one, and then this was a navy blue one. One belonged to my daughter. She was moving on from it, and then this one, I couldn't find it anywhere. So I was doing my list of sales that day, and it sold for $76. So it was a good sale. I was ready to message my buyer and say, I'm so sorry, I've lost it, which has happened more times than I care to admit. But I looked through everything. I have that rolling rack, as I mentioned, downstairs. It's so jammed packed that I sometimes have to go individually coat by coat, or actually go by the hanger to make sure that something's not squished in between and I'm missing it on the hanger, because I've done that before. I thought, this is it, I have to cancel the $76 order. I was so disappointed in myself. And at the very last minute, that famous coat closet is where I found it. But the thing is, I had already looked through that closet like 3 times. And sometimes if I'm trying to multitask or I have a lot going on, I just go through things quickly. I also don't have my closet or my rolling rack as part of my inventory system. So if it's a bulky coat, I just know it's on one of these racks. It wouldn't take that much effort to just tote scan a coat and then hang it. It's not like I'm having to put it in a bag or fold it or fit it into a bin. I just think that that would help streamline my business. So that's kind of what I learned from that experience. In the end, I did find it. And it was when I was getting like the final notice from Poshmark, like the threats, like ship this item. And I was just so disappointed in myself that it took me so long to find that. And it was just right before Thriftless February started. So it was kind of a little bit of an avoided flop of the week, but it was definitely a very strong nudge. Like, you need to get rid of some coats. You need to streamline your inventory system even more and think about what you're purchasing going into the future. So I thought Linda's comment was great, because I knew that this was kind of my flop of the week, and they kind of went hand in hand. All right, so moving on to Q&A. I wrote this one down earlier when I was doing the outline for my video. So Teresa asked, how do you determine shipping on eBay? I'm going to give you my very primitive practices when it comes to shipping on eBay, because this is the truth. The truth is, I try not to ship a lot of heavy items on eBay. And by heavy, I mean like a pair of Sorel boots or Hunter boots are probably as much as I want to list as far as weight goes on eBay, unless it's a really special item and unless it's like a hard good that is way more likely to sell on eBay than Poshmark. In general, I love to list lightweight items on eBay. I have 3 or 4 price points that I tend to price my shipping at, and that's $5.99, $6.99, $7.99, and $9.99. The $5.99 items are items I am certain without weighing them are going to be under a pound. So anything that is under 16 ounces on eBay can be sent first class, and it's typically less expensive than if you're going priority. So if I have a t-shirt and I'm entering it on Vendoo, I will simply just say $5.99 for the t-shirt. In a lot of cases, it may be less than the $5.99, and I make $1 or $1.50. I still think it's less money than, say, Poshmark if somebody were to buy something outright and it's over $7. Sometimes if I have an item priced high and I'm not sure if it's priority or first class, I will price it at $6.99. A good example of that is maybe a sweater. Sometimes jeans. Jeans are usually over a pound. So I'll price jeans at $7.99. If it's something that's heavy but small, I know I can fit it into a padded flat rate envelope, which I believe is now just over $8. So worst case, I can always put something that's heavier but smaller into a padded flat rate envelope. And anything that's like shoes that I know are going to be over a pound, or boots, I will price them around $9.99, unless they're like ballet flats or something light. That is kind of my basic guide. If you want to do eBay the right way, not the Lori way, you can weigh your items before you enter the information, and you can determine your shipping based on the weight of your item. You can also do calculated shipping. Calculated shipping is an option you can choose if you don't want to do flat rate shipping, where you predetermine the shipping amount. If you do calculated shipping, the weight of the item will come into play and the location of where you're shipping it to. And then it is calculated based on those two things. I tend to, as a seller, not use calculated shipping, and I also don't sell many heavy items. But weighing your items can take all the guesswork out of shipping for eBay for you. I do a lot more business on Poshmark than I do on eBay, although I'm very excited. I just hit a milestone on eBay. I have 500 listings on eBay. I don't know that I've ever had 500 listings on eBay, so I'm excited about that. And I'm at about 1,300 on Poshmark. I would like to get eBay up to about 750 and get Poshmark to about 950. There will always be, I think, less of my items listed on eBay than Poshmark for those heavy, bulky items that I just don't want to deal with. Or sometimes with eBay, it will ask for the fabric content and it will be ripped off of a tag. And instead of guessing wrong, because you have to put the fabric content in, fabric content is a required field on certain items on eBay. And then I'll just get lazy and I just won't even list it. So let me know if there's any tips that you have, because I am not an eBay expert, but that is how I deal with my eBay shipping and how I determine cost. I hope that's helpful. And I always say to people, if you're just starting on eBay, do the light stuff first. I mean, just list your socks and your baseball hats and your t-shirts and your bras and your leggings, like easy things that you can ship and you know it's going to be first class. And even if you make a mistake, it's not going to be super costly. If you're just dipping your toes in the eBay field, you could just say, I'm only going to ship things that are under £1 on eBay, and then graduate into more complicated shipping scenarios. I hope that helps. What's new this month is Thriftless February. I have one more haul that I am going to share with you in my next video that I did on January 31st, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the next segment. I feel like what's new more in my life right now is personal stuff over professional stuff. So all that's new with professional stuff is this new video style that I'm very excited about. Thriftless February is new, and I'm going to be sharing different style content with you this month that it doesn't necessarily revolve around traditional hauls. So definitely stay tuned for that. If you enjoy this style video or you want to see my adventures in thrifting, be sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you're enjoying this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. I'm not going to do a designer deep dive today either, but I would love to hear from you, designers or brands that you would like for me to do a deep dive for in the future. So do leave that in the comments. Okay, the next segment is Time with Tata. And I've been really worried about this segment because I have to share this quickly because I'm going to lose it. But Lulu Marie died. Oh God. Last Thursday, we had complications with my Lulu and we had to say goodbye. It's been really, really hard. And I've been dreading talking to you guys about it, but I had to because she's such a part of this channel. She's my girl, and she was my girl. And I'm devastated. It also came at a time where my dad is going through treatment for bone cancer. My dad had lung cancer in 2020 and it metastasized and is now in his bones, and it's stage 4. The fact that Lulu got really sick in the middle of my dad's treatment really threw me for a loop. She lost her ability to walk. I mean, she's been limping for a while, but she couldn't walk at all. So I brought her to the vet and they said she tested positive for anaplasmosis, which I mentioned in my last video, where I thought she was doing better. And I was in the Berkshires with my girlfriends. I'm like, Lulu's on the mend. My husband was traveling for 9 days straight. So I had Lulu with me everywhere I went because I couldn't leave her at home because her legs were just not working. So they put her on an antibiotic. She started to show a little promise, but she wasn't really getting better, which raised a red flag. And they said, okay, we want to put her on a steroid. The steroid worked. She started walking, but then she had a day where she threw up like 5 times, and they thought it was too much for her tummy, the antibiotic and the steroid. So I took her off the steroid. And the second I took her off the steroid, she started to decline. The doctor had run some blood work on her and her red blood count was declining. So they wanted me to go back in and check her blood. Went back in, her platelets were also declining, but her platelets were increasing. So the antibiotic was addressing something, but her red blood cell count continued to decline. They thought she was anemic. They sent me to an emergency room. I went to the emergency room on January 31st, which was when I was thrifting. I had not planned on thrifting. She was in the ER for 3 hours, so they told me to go home, do something. So I was close to a thrift store, so I went thrifting. That's the haul that's coming out next. They said that she had a very large mass in her abdomen, and they thought it was likely a blood tumor. So if you're local around here, I took her to Tufts, and they were absolutely phenomenal at Tufts. They took her in, they kept her overnight. I was a mess just leaving her overnight. They said at Tufts that they were gonna do a CT scan so they could actually see what was going on. The first time they called me, they said the mass is very large, but we think we might be able to remove it. So we're gonna keep her for observation. Then they called later in the day and they said, we don't think we can operate on it. It looks pretty risky. It's really aggressive, but more importantly, her red blood count is dropping. So we think you should come here tonight. We don't think she's gonna make it through the night, or she's not gonna make it very long. What she had, it was called hemangiosarcoma, and it's a malignant tumor, and they showed us the C scan when we went in, and it was so sad. It had pushed one of her kidneys completely to the opposite place of where her kidneys were supposed to be. It's been pressing on her bladder. It's been pushing on her nerves in her legs, and it was just too far gone. Jay had just gotten home from traveling that Thursday afternoon, and we went that night and we had to say goodbye to her. They also said that it was never a tick-borne disease, that was kind of a red herring, that her symptoms were showing up like that, and her blood work showed some similarities to what you would get with anaplasmosis. But in the end, it was all from this tumor that was super aggressive. And they said even with surgery, she would have maybe lived 3 or 4 months if the surgery went well. She was 12 and a half. It just rocked my world. My house is so empty. If you're new, I am so sorry. Because I know this is not necessarily what you clicked on this video for. That's why I saved it till the end, because I just had to get through the beginning part. My dad was going through radiation every day last week, and he was on day 4 of radiation when we lost Lulu. Thankfully, my brother was in town and he's been helping out. So I am typically a really positive person, and I've just been like hammered this past month. So I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to edit a lot of this, a lot of the tears out. I know you guys understand. The support was completely overwhelming on Instagram. I did a little post in my story. I still want to do like a nice one for her, but I miss her so much. We have not been without a dog for 17 years because we got Lucky. Lucky lived to be 15 and a half. We got Lulu 4 years later. So I don't even know what it's like to not have a dog. And we're in the dead of winter right now. We want to travel to see my daughter in Barcelona. So I don't think we're going to get a new dog until probably spring. There will definitely be a new puppy. I just am still, I'm still shocked. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for your love and support. I just had to address the Lulu thing, and I didn't know how to like just mention it in passing. So I promise most of my time with Tata segments will not be filled with tears. Most of them will just be life fun updates, hopefully, or, you know, things that I'm doing on my other channel. And yeah, but today I just felt like we needed to give Lulu a proper farewell. I think we're all gonna miss seeing her sweet little face on the channel. There's probably mascara all over my face. Sorry to end on such a sad note. I am, you know, turning the page right now. I promise my videos are going to be more uplifting than this in the future. I'm really excited about this format. I'm excited for the possibility of having a podcast in my life potentially in the future. I'm excited to have guests on, and hopefully this will turn into a weekly thing. I'm going to only set myself accountable for once every other week for a couple weeks until life levels out. But you never know, maybe I'll do another one next week. But please let me know what you think of the structure of this. Let me know if you have any catchy titles or fun ideas. Thank you all so much. If you're still here, my God, thank you. And I'm sorry if I made anybody sad. So next up will be a haul video. I'm gonna try not to talk about Lulu in that because I just want to smile more and cry less. So thank you guys so much. I love you all so much for being here. Thank you for being part of my amazing community here on YouTube. Thanks guys so much. Make it a great day. I love you. Bye.